Well, I'm so glad you're able to make this incredible reunion.
I'm glad to be here.
It's just good to have all the people back again. So we're going to just try to get a little information from you to find out how you've been doing, okay? First, let's start off with what's your name?
Mercedes Jackman.
Beckler is my first name. I go by Op or Optimus, last name Brown.
Honesty Abraham.
I'm Jesse.
I'm Sal.
Calvin Feliciano, Sr.
Demetrius Jackson.
My name is Elizabeth Miranda, aka Liz Miranda.
My name is Naima Holiday. I also go by Notorious, it's my first name.
Cyrus the Shield.
And Cyrus, if you can remember, what year or years were you here at TE?
90. I feel like between 95, 96 to like 99.
I was with TE from 1999 to 2001.
From 2021 to 2022, the summer and then the school year.
I started working at TE March 13th, 2020. And I remember that day in particular because it was the day right before we went into COVID and to our quarantine. So it was something that I went for my audition the day right before we actually went into COVID. So I remember that day very vividly.
I didn't have to remember because I put it right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 02 to 05. Don't quote me on it, use it as a range.
I believe I was 2012, 2013, something like that.
And I did my freshman year for the first time, which was like, I think the second year that the Teen Empowerment Summer started, so that must have been 2013, I want to say.
I feel like I first came in contact with teen empowerment maybe 1996.
02 to 04.
I was really active 96 to 98. 97 was probably the year I was the most active, but I knew about TE all through the 90s. I was a student at John D. O'Brien. I worked at the Orchard Park Teen Center. I worked at My Town, which was in the South End. And so TE used to have like a couple floors of this building. What was the Children's Art Center, I think? It was on Rutland. I think I remember that, right? And I started getting involved because Teen Empowerment also had high school programs. And although there wasn't a high school program at the O'Brien, there was one at Madison Park. And a lot of the Cape Verdeans who were in my family or around my way were involved with Teen Empowerment at Madison Park, and they got me involved.
Gotcha. What site were you at?
I was at the South End Lower Roxbury site, so that's the original, the official, the OG site.
Yeah.
I was at the Somerville site.
Yeah, we both were.
Somerville site. Okay.
Out there, Lower Roxbury, the best site. Y'all know what it is? Come on now, the community sites. Rutland Street.
South End site, also worked at English High School. So yeah, kind of bounced from place to place.
What was it that brought you to TE? How'd you get drawn into the TE?
TE was the ish, like Teen Empowerment. I remember going to their peace conferences and speaking at one year, and it had 1,000-something young people. Everyone came, every hood. There were kids coming from other high schools, other cities and towns, and then they used to have the after party events. And you know, I was a teenager, you know, like I wanted to be around cool kids, cool people doing positive things.
I was sort of on the block. I was selling drugs. I was going back and forth to jail. You know, I'd done almost 2 years juvenile time before, from like 12 to 18. And I actually, you know, my cousin Gary was on the street and we were sort of hanging out, summer day, and Doug walked by. And he says, Doug, he knew Doug from 20 years before that, when Doug was like doing the hair commercials and stuff. And he said, listen, my little cousin's gonna be dead or in jail in like 2 years. Like, you gotta step in here. And I was like, I remember being in the moment, being like, man, how you gonna tell this white man I'm gonna be dead or in jail in 2 years? Like, what's going on here?
So I go to a church school and they were like giving out jobs and like they have like this, cause we use Google Classroom. So they have like jobs and stuff on Google Classroom. And then it's surprising because like my church school was like very strict and they're like not, you know, I don't know how to like explain it. But they had it said teen empowerment, and then it had a little survey, and I filled out the survey, and it had everything on like photography, dancing, like all the art stuff, because I'm a creative person. And then I filled it out, and then I ended up getting an interview, and then I went on to the second round of interviews, and then I got teen empowerment.
Ooh, that's a big question. I think like outreach brought me into TE. I think that's one of like the best things that TE does is that they outreach really well, and I think It must have been Danny. It must have been Danny outside the high school or something, just networking, talking to kids, and I must have been there or saw it on flyers all around, and I was like, what is this? Like, I gotta go check this out. And I went in, interviewed the same day. It was, yeah.
KYL, huh?
Yeah.
I guess I could think of it as a few ways. So even when I was younger, I'm a teenager. I grew up in Boston as well as Milton. And so even as a teenager, when they had the peace conference, that was something that I would go to, right? And go and check out. So if you think about like the first seeds were probably planted in there. You know, I went to college after getting out of college. I used to work in Mission Hill at an after school program, and I was looking to pivot. And so ever since I was a youth, I used to work with youth programs from Teens Against Gang Violence, from what used to be the red shirts or the gray shirts, whatever it is that you want to call them. And so when I was looking for, I learned about the TE or Teen Empowerment, having an opening, and I was like, think about my skill set, think about what I want to do. I often think about youth as being the action, you know, in terms of changing the world, and so it made sense to me.
I had a lot of friends. I did want a job. And
Like,
yeah, it was more so just my friends. A lot of my friends were working.
So was there like anything going on in your life that you kind of like said, okay, this is something for me?
No, I was always, you know, involved in school. I was a cheerleader. So it was just another thing for me to kind of add on to my resume.
I was still in high school, and everyone was talking about teen empowerment, and there was music there, and I love music, and it keep you out of trouble. And so my mom was like, "You going?" And then I found out they paid me. So, I mean, it was every 2 weeks, but hey, I kept my fresh sneakers.
Truthfully, a little story time. One day I was at school and my mom sent me an Instagram post that you guys were having a movie night. And I'm like, you know, let me just come. And it was right on Balfour. And I went to go, it was a Cleve Broader story. And I came to that event, I seen the dynamic of how everyone was together. The event was very organized, and at the end of it, I asked, how can I get involved? Unfortunately, you guys just stopped your hiring process. And one day I was in my dance class at Originations, and I met Asia. And Asia was telling me how they were having auditions for the dance group, and that's how I first got involved with Teen Empowerment.
So tell me, how did TE support your growth and development? So part of what you were just saying.
Question.
Yeah. How did it support your growth and development?
I was already like, but I was already very, you know, mature. Like I didn't think how other people my age would think. You know, I thought out of the box because I wanted to change. Like I wanted to make an impact. So TE, they just brought it there. Like I was thinking this stuff, but I wasn't making any actions. TE helped me make actions. TE helped me put myself out there to, you know, like show other black girls or show other people that look like me that they can, you know, be doing things like I'm doing, you know? So, yeah.
For me, I kind of went like a different route. Music brought me to TE, but it was really the social justice, the justice that the youth would portray and trying to like get, you know, important topics out there and to show adults like what was important to the young people, why young people were suffering. And that has really impacted me up to now because, you know, I work in city government, state government, and I'm a consultant for the government, right? So my whole life is all about like public service and supporting the community. And, you know, I still have a soft spot for how much an effect youth can bring to actually making changes because, you know, you can hear an adult say like, hey, you should do this, you should do that. But when young people get together and they mobilize and then they say it through song, they say it through spoken word, it's powerful, it's impactful.
No, I actually got expelled from high school in the 10th grade early on. I've never gone past even halfway to 10th grade. So TE was my high school. You know, I was going back and forth to jail. I was never really in school past the 6th grade. So TE became all my education between Craig, Begway, and Jennifer. They would always give me assignments. I'd be doing all sorts of research on my own, online. I'd come in early. They'd give me books to read. So it really became the place where I sort of educated myself and was educated by these adults who sort of loved me and were into my development. And that's, you know, that's what we need in the hood.
There's way too many ways to name, really. Yeah, just being confident in my personal experience and perspective and just showing teen empowerment showed me that like, and like currently you hear like Black Lives Matter, but like at that moment, like I was shown that like my personal experience mattered, that like my voice mattered, and I could be a beacon to show other people that their voices also matter.
TE has definitely helped support my development. I've learned so many different skills when it comes to creating events, networking, being able to time manage, and also being responsible. Throughout my time here, I've gotten many different opportunities to be a part of some really amazing things, whether it was hosting events where we supported having 8 like different ages come together, from young to old, and being very versatile with our range of people that we want to bring into our community. I learned voter registration, networking, and just so many different skills that have really helped me today in my progress in life.
Teen empowerment, teen empowerment provided the resources that I needed to be creative in the ways that I wanted to. I had access to like a music studio, had access to video cameras and script writing and stages and acting and just all types of outlets that helped me further develop my voice.
So I learned public speaking really at my town, and then it got cultivated into teen empowerment. I learned about youth organizing. I learned how to work in a team. You know, we always were doing breakouts. I learned facilitation and training. I learned negotiation. I learned mediation. You know, these were the things. I learned event planning. Before I became a politician, I spent 10, 12 years in Boston being like one of the top promoters. And I learned that at Teen Empowerment. You know, we used to plan the peace conference. We used to sell tickets. We used to go to every hood, every community. Used to do the parties. And then when I got to college, you know, I was able to build my business based on the fact that I met hundreds of young people, if not thousands, while I was at Teen Empowerment.
So you did mention that you're a politician.
Yeah.
So tell us exactly what you do and how Teen Empowerment helped you to get there.
So I'm currently Senator-elect of the 2nd Suffolk District, which in Boston includes neighborhoods of the South End all the way to Hyde Park. 4 years ago, I ran for office 6 months after the murder of my little brother, Michael. And, you know, I never knew I wanted to be a politician, you know. And then my brother's death, like, changed me. What I did know I wanted to be was a youth worker and an executive director, and I thought I had my dream job. So I was running the Hawthorne Community Center in Roxbury. I had spent time at Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative. I ran the South End Youth Workers Alliance that helped my bosses and me when I was younger. I did all this stuff in the city, and then, you know, my brother got killed, and I kept thinking to myself, like, I've helped save a lot of people's kids. I've fed kids. I've clothed them. I made sure they had a job. I made sure they had a safe place to be. And here I was, I couldn't even save my little brother.
So I'm a lobbyist. I also do electoral work, right? So like the elections and things like that. I consult on political campaigns. And it helps so much. I mean, just, you know, I do a lot of facilitation, right? Like facilitation is a big part of it. Public speaking is a big part of it. Running groups is a big part of it. It was funny, I heard a brother say, who was leaving, that he uses the book all the time. I have 2 copies, because at first I lost one and got another one. I have 2 copies of the book, use it all the time. And it's actually elevated my work because I have brought things to the political world that are different ways to do something that's edgier, funner, more interactive, more engaging. And it was really me thinking, how do I interview candidates running for mayor or for governor or for any sort of position using concentric circles?
I'm doing a bunch of things. I'm still doing music. I live in Seattle.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
So you didn't come all the way back for this, did you?
You didn't? Okay.
I mean, I would have.
Yeah.
No,
You just happened to be here?
Yeah, I just happened to be here. I'm visiting for a few months and then going back out to Seattle. Before the pandemic, I opened up a restaurant and with one of my friends, and I kind of left that because of the pandemic, and I was on a record label out there, and I was hoping to kind of open up and kickstart my own record label out there as well, and then the pandemic happened, but it's still on the back burner. Cool. And I'm a software engineer now, and so I'm working remotely out here for a little bit. But
Okay.
yeah, I kind of been dipping my toes in different
Yeah, I
things.
see.
Like you said, I'm a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
So
So I do several things. I'm currently a music producer, work with various artists. I do artist development. I also work in accounting at Tyler Perry Studios in the film industry. I also work in production for TNT and Warner Media on the sports shows there. So just having access to media as a young person with teen empowerment, it gave me the courage and just like the skills to like further dive or like to go into a deeper dive with like storytelling.
Did the income you earned back then for TE,
Yeah.
did it help you financially? Did it help your family?
Of course.
What did it do for you?
Just to let you know, when I was 18 years old, and I remember being at what's called Nubian Station now, but it was Dudley Station back then. There was a woman who came up to me, a woman in the neighborhood, and we were chopping it up. And she had told me, and you know, sometimes like words hit harder, like, I mean, depending on who says it, what time it is. And she was like, you should buy a house before you buy a car. Right? She said a house is an asset, right? You could live in it, right? A car, right, is a liability, right? In the city of Boston, we're at the station right there. You can get around wherever it is that you need to go using the MBTA. And when I thought about that, at that moment in time, and I was always money conscious, just to kind of give you an idea, when I went to college, I did 6 years instead of 4 just because it was 2/3 less per credit per class. So when I graduated $8,000 in debt. And my hustle was like, let me pay that off ASAP. But I never had a car. My first car that I actually owned, I've had it for less than 2 years, just to let you know. I'm 45 right now. So just to kind of give you an idea. But I have houses, and I really listen to that. So part of that is when I went to TE, it was the most money I ever made in a year up until that point. So
My mom was a single mom, so a lot of our money went towards the house, and really we couldn't get a lot of the things that we wanted. So one of the things that she said to me, she said, I'll get what you need, you get what you want. So that was one of my motivation. That was my motivation to really get a job with TE. Was like, you know what, I can take this check and I can go shopping and I can get So it was just, so yeah, I mean, it did help. It took a load off of my mom. So I was able to kind of be able to financially support myself.
Help me with, how do I put this? I guess making financial, like smart decisions with my money. Cause like, I want to save money, I want to have good money when I get older. So it helped me learn how to save my money, how to spend it, how to budget, things like that.
yeah, I would agree. Same for me. I feel super privileged that my family was never super struggling with finances. I mean, they were, but they never told me about that. But
Their parents don't tell you about those things.
yeah, they don't tell you about those kind of things. But you know, just having a job and working was important to me. I think, you know, going through high school just because I wanted to, you know, get on my own 2 feet, be able to pay for my own things, like and help my family out like that. And so, in terms of like finances, it was a big thing for me, and it felt really meaningful. You know, even outside of everything that Teen Empowerment does, being in the working force when you're that young and being able to like support yourself in even little ways is really big.
I was losing a lot. It's funny you said income, brother, because I was losing a lot from them damn contracts. Stanley owed me money, man. Stan, I want my money, man. They was getting me on them contracts all the time. You know, my first year I was still selling drugs, and I was, you know, I was making a transition from the street world to this other world that was enticing me and calling me in. And it was a bumpy transition, and so I was always getting flagged. You know, we'd be at the parties, and I'd want to do the like, we should be bumping and grinding at the parties, and so I'd get flagged for that. So I lost a lot of money, but it was, it definitely was impactful, right? It wouldn't have, it really showed you that this idea of not just for the respect, but also the sustainability, pay youth. Not just to respect, that should happen, but also because, you know, we're paying bills.
What keeps you coming back day after day after day? Is it the people, the place? What keeps you coming back?
I keep coming back. It's the environment, it's the culture, it's the family oriented vibe that I get from Teen Empowerment. Everyone here is so welcoming, and everyone here is so loving. Everyone is so supportive of one another, and we all take our time to really get to know and invest in one another, get to see what someone else is interested in, or get to feel someone else's passion. Like when we talk in our circles for the pop committee, it's so inspiring to hear everyone's opinion on how to make change in our community, and it really inspires my thought process, because sometimes people think other things that you don't think, and it's so great to hear it from someone else's perspective and get to really think more for yourself. It's really educational, and I really appreciate that being here, that I learn something new each and every time I come. And it's definitely a family.
I was able to tap into like power. I was able to see like people that were my age, that looked just like me, be powerful. That encouraged me to keep showing up, because I just felt amazed by like how many like people. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering right now.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of emotional, because I'm thinking about, and then like I'm looking around this room and I'm seeing so many people that were actually in these rooms with me as we were sharpening each other. Yeah, and so many years later, people are still like showing the power that they have.
The people, and what we did. You know, what we did was, like the programs that we do daily, was freaking genius. You know, the programs were like genius. Like they really kept us excited. Like, I'll give you an example. So I was about 15 years old when I started really trying to pursue music. So I performed at the Apollo Theater. So I won the first show. The second show, I lost. I was sick, forgot the words, and I got booed. I did not want to come to work because I felt like I was going to let everybody down. Like, oh man, signs for lost. You know, so I didn't come. They wrote me up. I was going to get fired. Like, I wasn't coming in. But I came back. When I came back, what I just told you, I told them I didn't want to come back because I felt like I let y'all down. You know, and I think being at that age, that did something for me. You know what I mean? Like having, it was like almost like a village, like a tribe. You know, like I was so excited to see Doug just now. You know what I mean? Stanley, like I'm hugging him, like yo. They're like, dang, bro. You know, but that's just how much love there is for the people in Team Apollo. Yeah.
You know, I'd say one of the biggest things, you know, like our director over at Somerville, Danny McLaughlin, like I still talk to him, I still text him, like, you know, routinely. We're still trying to go on like bike rides and things like that. That man, like, he inspires, you know. I seen him work nights and days and like out of his schedule because he cared, right? You know, we went to Colorado together with the mayor, right? And, you know, we were kicking it over there, and just like, that man, like, really inspired me and showed me that, like, you know, sometimes a little bit of extra effort goes a long way. And that effort definitely went a long way for developing who I am as a person, and, you know, as a mentor to others as well. You know, I learned a lot from him as a mentor.
Cool.
So the staff were very welcoming, supportive, even throughout the school year. I mean, just not after school, you know, when we stepped foot into the TE doors, it was just throughout. And just like I said, being able to be around my friends, like, you know, and just meeting new people just kept me looking forward to it.
One word
Yes.
that encapsulates TE.
Family.
Empowering.
Empowering.
Healing.
Community?
Accepting, very accepting.
Family.
I think family, I think community, I think joy, I think laughter, I think music, I think creativity. You know, there are a lot of words that come to mind.
It felt like a family.